cartoons.
I am Weasel. I don't really have much to say on this one. This is why each review is anywhere from 5 minutes minimum to 25 minutes maximum. Dexter's Laboratory was the latter because I had so much to say on that show that I didn't want to talk about all of my problems in that review, or even all the things I liked in that review. I Am Weasel is the exact opposite. There really is not much that I could say about this show. I could say some things about the show, provided I didn't already say it in my Cow and Chicken review or the episodes, but these reviews are general reviews, not every episode. I was binge watching each of the pilots of all the Cartoon Network shows back in March when I came up with this idea with a friend of mine, and he watched more of the older Cartoon Network stuff than I did. He always told me that you don't really need to watch I Am Weasel because you can pretty much get everything that you can with that show from Cow and Chicken. And now after watching everything of each of the two shows, I can say that's not the full truth, or at the very least that's not 100% true. Why is that? Let me put it like this. Cow and Chicken is Cartoon Network's response to Ren and Stimpy. I Am Weasel is Disney's response to Ren and Stimpy, but if it accidentally was put onto Cartoon Network and not onto Disney by mistake. Cow and Chicken was able to show more of its grossness and humor off just like Ren and Stimpy. I Am Weasel feels a little more restrained, and it looks distractingly similar to Cow and Chicken. And yes, I know that the same people behind I Am Weasel made Cow and Chicken, but still, it's a distraction. In fact, I could probably pull random characters from both I Am Weasel and Cow and Chicken, put them together, and you wouldn't be able to tell which show that they came from. Now, this isn't the only Cartoon Network show to have this problem. Craig of the Creek has this exact same problem. Every character in that show looks like they're from Steven Universe, but we'll get to Craig of the Creek when we get to Craig of the Creek. What happens if you tried to make Cow and Chicken, but you got rid of the gross out from Cow and Chicken? Well, you get I Am Weasel. I Am Weasel is what happens when you try to make your show a little too squeaky clean. It's like it wants to be a gross out show without really showing any gross out. I mean, it's definitely better than going too far in the other direction. If you have a gross out show that has no gross out, well, your show has nothing. In fact, it has less than nothing. Then again, I Am Weasel feels restrained with its gross out. What do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about the two main characters of the show and I'll tell you why. Our protagonist is named I Am Weasel. Okay, I know that's his name, but I'm just gonna call him Weasel throughout this review because that's easier. He is a Mary Sue, or Gary Stu for the male version. If you don't know, a Mary Sue is basically a character that exists to do everything right and to be 100% flawless, or to have a cute quirk. The most infamous example in animation history is Chloe Carmichael from Fairy Odd Parents. Remember her?
We love Chloe! We love Chloe! Hey everyone! You want to come over to my house and see my exotic animals I rescued from poachers?
And her flaw, per se, was that she failed at occasions, which is why she got fairies.
I tried too hard to fix things and I end up annoying people, destroying cities, and then no one wants to be my friend!
Well, that is more or less what Weasel is like, at least in the first season. I mean, in the first episode, for example, he manages to build a bridge from New York City to France. You know, fucking France. That's like 3,625 miles away, which would take decades to do in the real world for that distance. And that's not even discounting the height of the depths of the ocean. But Weasel manages to get it done all in one day, or rather Baboon does to Mexico, but Weasel said it could have been done by 7 o'clock tonight instead of 7 years, if he had his way. Weasel can pretty much be anything that he wants in this show and succeed in it as well. In the next episode after this, IR on Sun, he's an astronaut and has pretty much explored every single planet in the galaxy and been the first on each. Weasel has also been a lawyer, a performer, a sailor, a doctor, an aircraft pilot, a hairdresser. Okay, the better question is, what did Weasel not become? Of course, more often than not, whenever one character succeeds in every single way, they have to add another character to fail at everything. And this is where the weird designs come in. IR Baboon. And I can't talk about this character without the major flaw in his design right away. His ass is constantly showing. I mean, I get that you could make the argument that baboons in real life look like this, but one of the advantages of animation is that you can fudge up how a character looks to make it more appealing and to be a better looking design. I mean, in Ren and Stimpy, for example, Ren doesn't really look like a chihuahua, and Stimpy doesn't really look like a cat. Gumball from the Amazing World Gumball also doesn't really look like a cat. Actually, no wait, I take that statement back for what I said for IR Baboon, because they do know that rule that you can make any character in animation that you want. That's why they decided to make Baboon's ass more visually noticeable, because butts are automatically funny apparently. Look, automatically being gross in and of itself is not funny. You can always be too gross or just bland. Like I said, I Am Weasel is more bland than gross in that field. I mean, the episode The Incredible Shrinking Weasel has Weasel shrinking down going inside the red guy's ass, and they definitely tried to show gross out with blood and mucus, but it's not designed well enough to be that gross. It's just there. And you'd think it'd be grosser with the same people behind Cow and Chicken, but it's not here. Oh, by the way, way, there are episodes of I Am Weasel with the red guy in it. In fact, he's pretty much in it for the rest of the show once season 2 starts, the episode IR Mommy that is. I don't really know what to say about the red guy though that I didn't say in my Cow and Chicken review. I get it, the same people that worked on Cow and Chicken work on this. But it was literally my review right before this one. You saw me talk about him yesterday. This is kind of the problem when you have the same creators create 2 shows in a row. You kind of get repetitive. The reason why I didn't say the show wasn't quite the same as Cow and Chicken was because the show felt cleaner and not much else added substance. Like Cow and Chicken, I Am Weasel is a show that I respect more than I like. Unlike Cow and Chicken, I don't really respect I Am Weasel that much. I don't hate it per se, and I definitely found it better than Dexter's Laboratory, but there just really is nothing else for me to talk about in this show. And unlike Cow and Chicken, this show didn't give us darker themes for Cartoon Network or help the second animation renaissance or anything like that. In fact, I don't think I ever heard of I Am Weasel before starting this marathon. And the only other 90s show on this list I never heard of before this marathon is Mike Lugan Og. I mean, you could count the Moxie show, but again, I only reviewed 1 episode, and so it's not really a full show. It's more of a drop pilot. Another thing about the humor in I Am Weasel is that I tend to find it better in other shows. For some shows on this list, there are chances that you might like it for its humor, but the humor you might have not only seen it in other shows, but also done better. Take this joke for example in the episode The Magnificent Motor Bikini.
I'm sorry, boys. There's nothing that modern medicine can do for you. I'm terribly sorry. So get out of here.
Hey, bring me!
Oh, man, I'm good.
Now, if you've never seen The Simpsons take on that joke, you might like this joke. But however, when you do see The Simpsons version of this joke, it is better on there.
Separating Sammy's twins is a long and costly procedure.
The Simpsons did it better besides cleaner animations because the doctor is the one who gets screwed over in the end. Both doctors were screwing over their patients, but the Simpsons were because the patients didn't have to pay at all. While in I Am Weasel, sure we don't see them pay, but it's implied that they have to pay. Also, for some odd reason, when the doctor wins in I Am Weasel, he ain't smiling, and I don't get why that is. This show does have random humor, I suppose, but it's hard for me to not call it cliche at times. To the point that there was an episode on cartoon cliches, literally called I Am Cliched.
A cliche is a worn-out joke we've all seen a million times.
I suppose that the red guy does help out the show in a way since he gives Weasel more of a foil and makes Weasel less of a Gary Stu than Mary Sue Chloe by a long shot. But Cow and Chicken I did like with just Cow and Chicken. The red guy was just a bonus in that show. It's hard for me to really like I Am Weasel without the red guy. It's like season 2 of Legend of Korra. It'd be hard to watch that season without Vera because he made it good. One thing that I did like in season 1 of I Am Weasel that didn't continue into the later seasons was when Weasel said the title of each episode at the beginning of each episode, and he even talked about the people that did work on each episode for a brief moment.
IR, plant life. Whatever. Quiet on the set. Action.
I don't know why they didn't keep up that joke. I thought it was pretty funny. To end this review off, let's talk about the series finale, because that's my favorite episode of the show. And considering the world right now, it's actually more funny than ever. No one is outside because they are watching the show I Am Weasel. To free everyone from being stuck inside, Weasel demands his show to be done. So it does, and it gives the attention to Baboon, and so Baboon finally truly wins. The show then states that the real focus all the time was Baboon, which if you rewatch the series again right after that statement, it gives a different personality to the show, and I think it's actual good meta humor. So I can say this is a pass and it's technically a good show, but it's not a show that I want to go back to. Oh, I can easily watch another episode again, but it's just a show that I don't really look forward to rewatching. So it's a meh or in the middle. Then again, normally speaking, I don't go out of my way watching cartoons from the 20th century. I only do that when I have a specific project to do, like say Cartoon Network 64. I didn't really hate any episodes of I Am Weasel, it's just that I didn't find any episodes to be truly that fantastic. I usually only watch shows from the 2010s because I'm more familiar with 2010s cartoons and they're easier to access than older cartoons. Sure, I Am Weasel came out after I was born, but that doesn't mean that I grew up with it. And yeah, I don't ever recall watching this cartoon. And I can recall watching Cow and Chicken.